Hello, my dear ones. It's good to come to you. It's cold. It's cold this morning. This is Monday morning. It was down in the 40s last night. It's like, oh man, this is Florida. Get some of that warm weather going. You know, I get this epoch time. Look at this, and this was in there this time. That's what you got to be careful about, and that's what's happened. But you realize it's kind of representative of the globalists, the world order, those that think they're far above others and that they know things that others don't. And it's like they can pronounce words that long and just like that. And it's like, oh, okay. You know, so you have to be careful about who you choose to help you through your health problems, because I've showed you a lot of studies on the particular on oncology. In oncology, one medical doctor said oncology will be our darkest days, particularly chemotherapy will be medical doctors' darkest days. And he was right on with that. And he made that statement probably 5 to 10 years ago. And you just have to realize that a lot of these practices are barbaric, almost like the old going into the brain and electrifying it and all these sort of things like that, lobotomies and stuff like that. Some of this stuff is so barbaric when you simply understand how the body works, especially the lymphatic system. And you understand there's only two sides of chemistry, and every single thing you interact with is chemistry. Whether you're breathing it, living it, your skin is it, everything is it. How all the molecules are put together, the atoms are put together, that the uniqueness of thought and the divine manifesting itself in dualistic terms. So that's all that really is. But I wanted to try to get on down the road here because I'm still dealing with November questions, and I'm trying to bring it up to the current because, like you saw the other day, that one lady, very serious trouble. And this is a lot of people don't know how to divide too much seriousness away from that, you know, to put them right here in my face. So this is one of the issues. This gentleman is Jonathan. He's from Canada. He's 61 years young. He's a 5'8", 194 pounds, a little hefty. Prostate cancer, probably. Prostate, it says. My prostate is getting larger and putting pressure on the urethra. Yeah, no kidding. I know what that's like. Absolutely. I don't want to have surgery because they'll break the mucous membrane surrounding your urethra and go in and scrape the prostate to make it smaller. The old ream. Yeah, and then the problem with that is scarring, and then having to deal with the scarring, and it depends how acidic you are, because when you see swelling in the body, you have to ask yourself, why does tissue swell, right? Why do you get hypertrophy, which is swelling, enlargement? So why would something enlarge? Well, let's go back to looking at the prostate. What's the prostate made of? Oh, bunch of cells. So cells are the structure and the function of tissues, right? Pretty much everything, right? But as any hungry people, we all need to eat, but also we know what goes down's got to come out, and it comes out in a couple of places, both in your stooling, which is digestive waste, in your urine, which is cellular waste, and through your skin, which is cellular waste. So these are organs of elimination. To not understand the kidney connection to the lymph system is difficult in this world because medical doctors are trained, and it's not their fault. It's the people that put A&P, these anatomy physiology books together, and they're remaining ignorant of the issues. But in due fairness, allopathy, I think I was telling you I attended this international symposium on the lymphatic system. That's all medical and all these researchers, and it was shocking to hear these different researchers and what they were looking for, and the fact they were missing the whole point of the lymphatic system. And I think that's what the problem always is allopathically, is when you look at the effect of something and try to guess the cause of something, not understanding how the lymph system works. And again, we're the ones that brought out the connection of the kidneys to the lymphatic system and the skin, and have proved this through the level of healing that we're getting, the level of tissue regeneration. So when you see something swelling, you have to ask yourself, the prostate's a bunch of cells. You've got two major fluids that, in one way or another, are available to all cells. And that is, of course, their kitchen, the ATP chain, the electrical chain, the energy chain, which is obvious. You could call it nutritional chain if you wanted to. But then there's also, you have to eliminate waste. And medically, they think that you eliminate by reabsorbing. That's not elimination. That's throwing waste back into the kitchen, the blood again. And you have to sometime pull back from that and go, you know what, that's stupid. That's really stupid thinking, no matter what the books say. You remember, every book doesn't have the answers to life. Every book has pieces of it. It's like spiritual books. You can read a good spiritual book one day, get some good stuff out of it. And the same thing with the Eckankar writings, Paul Twitchell's writings. You can read, let's say, The Far Country one day, or The Tiger's Fang, or The Key to Secret Worlds, things like this, and then a month later come back and read it and read things you didn't see the first time. Because you're always we're kinetic, where things are always expanding and growing, and you might not even realize it, some so subtly. But this is a time when humans have to wake up, because the slaughter of them is here. And you see the World Health Organization setting the world up for control for the next pandemic, to make sure everyone gets vaccinated, everyone follows their way. And it's like, no, you jokers need to be going to jail. You guys have been trying to kill the humans off the planet. And for people not to understand the world order agenda in today's world, your ignorance might be that which kills you. Look at all these people falling over now. They're just falling over. You just don't fall over by the tens of thousands. No, it's vaccine related totally. And every day I get news, the Epoch News is a great source, and you just see every day vaccine injuries, and now they got more evidence. So it's coming, but it needs to come faster. And Pfizer's trying to stop any type of courts from allowing them or making them show evidence. They only have 2 years, and their 2 years are coming up. And then, of course, you have the misinformation highway, where all these people are trying to label the truth tellers as misinformation people. So you have people that are so ignorant they're willing to back up those trying to kill them. I mean, it's just unreal when you sit back and you look at this. I learned of the Illuminati, the World Order, way back when I sued the IRS, and before that, and understanding common law and what happened to our judicial system and all of this. And getting in front of federal judges, watching the corruption for myself. It's amazing. So it's time that we wake up and get strong as a race. And this is why I teach oneness, but oneness is a fact. But that goes to all life, whether you're plant, animal, no matter what form you're using right now to express yourself. So anyway, enlargements, something has to back up, right? You don't have anything enlarging or tumors forming unless you have a blockage. Well, what kind of blockage could possibly cause hypertrophy or enlargement of the prostate or enlargement of the liver or enlargement of the heart? They all do the same thing. Everywhere you go, the same thing occurs when one system becomes agglomerated, meaning blocked, and not properly being eliminated. It's your sewer system. You do that to the blood, and nobody's happy on the other side of that one. Death is assured. But What happens when the lymphatic system becomes agglomerated? And that's where the answers are, and that's what you've all learned all these years. How to protect yourself, how to understand the simplicity. Understanding the simplicity of something, it's like when you build something. Your pillars or your foundation, the rest of the building is determined on how well your foundation is, how square it is, how solid it is. And that's important. And a foundation, understanding the human body, simply to understand the human body is made of a bunch of cells, 75 to 100 trillion of them, and two major fluids. Water is a floating factor of edema. And edema is just another response of inflammation. So it's important to understand that the word inflammation is not a disease. It is simply your body's response to acidosis or agglomeration, or what we would refer to as a cationic environment, which destroys cells. Acids just don't sit there and look pretty. Throw an acid in your face and see if it just sits there and looks pretty. Look at the chemotherapy burns if you spill chemotherapy on your skin. You're willing to look at a chemotherapy burn. I was telling you that when I took nursing and IV therapies. Said, well, don't spill chemotherapy. And they were showing pictures of what chemo burns look like when you spill or drill chemo on the skin. And I'm the one like this because I'm already a physician. I'm already like this going, yeah, so what's your skin made of? Oh, a bunch of cells. Yeah. Oh, and then you want to put it into the vascular system, which is an alkaline system. And it's made of what? A bunch of cells. So then you saw the collapsing, the brachos and all the arteries there. And then, of course, then they go, well. So then they go right into the aorta. What's the difference? So this is the insanity that exists out there. And this is why some of these studies say if you do nothing, you'll live longer. Yeah, your medical people accelerate your death in a lot of ways. So you have to be careful. It is important to have the medical community in terms of surgeries and first aid, ERs, things like this. But there's a lot to learn in emergency rooms. I'll tell you that firsthand. Spent a lot of years in 3 hospitals in emergency rooms. So I've seen firsthand what goes on. A lot of great emergency stuff. I just love emergency medicine, the paramedics. Yeah, I've got a lot of good paramedic friends. But there's a lot to learn how the body works and what it means to have a cationic environment. They're too lost in having an alkaline environment, alkalosis. And it's like, yeah, we have some alkalotic areas, easy to remedy. Not so much with acidosis. And that's the problem. So systemically, we're acidic. And that's where, and you can look at all the edema, all the responses, and they're responses of acidosis. So that's what you've got going on. So your real problem isn't in the prostate, is it? No. Your real problem is in the kidneys. And your kidneys and adrenal glands. Well, there's your gonadals as well, your testosterone, aldosterones, estrogens, even for men. So you've got all these things involved. So when your kidneys do not filter, there's my pictures. I got so much on my desk now. It's easy I just cleaned it. But you must see a lot of sediment in your urine, and still you don't know which kidney might not be filtering. Maybe your right kidney's filtering and your left one's not, but you're seeing sediment. So there's certain limitations of what we know. And we talked about that before, the lymph nodes to the prostate. You've got lymph nodes before you've got elimination because cellular wastes are what? 3 pH. And that's why you see what you see in the inflammatory response, the increasing of blood. Why would you increase blood flow to what medium? You wouldn't see an increased blood flow basically to an alkalotic medium, but you would to a acidic medium. Why is that? Because the blood is alkaline. And that alkalinity is how we use those electrolytes. That's how we neutralize acids, right? That's that teeter-totter game, the electron transport factors. Got some nice charts coming for you for our new book. So, important to understand that your problem, my friend, is in your kidneys. You got to go after this. If you're this much trouble, I'd go on a grape diet as much as I can, a fruit diet, and get on our detox herbs. Deworm yourself, get your bowels opened up and cleaned, get all the swelling out of the whole body because it's not just in your prostate. You know, by the time you see hypertrophy of the prostate, you're swelling in a lot of places, probably bladders thickened, kidneys, that sort of thing, and it's just backed up everywhere, particularly on the side that the kidney is not filtering the most. Right side, you're going to see fatty livers, you know, you're going to see all kinds of problems. Left side, spleens, mostly pancreatic, that sort of thing. So it just depends on the side that you're down there. So to remedy this, you have to go to chemistry. I mean, you can't remedy this outside the world of chemistry because everything is chemistry. So obviously, when you see a swelling like this, you want to go after the kidneys and you want to bring alkaline chemistry in. The protein would be the literally worst that you could do, is proteins. Not good. So you want to avoid all proteins. You want to avoid beans, grains, meats, all these sort of things. You really want to pull to the alkaline side, the hydrating side of chemistry, so things can start moving. And you don't know, again, the condition of the kidneys or that sort of thing. That's the beauty of iridology. So that's exciting. Let me see what else here. Any suggestion? Oh, yeah, I could improve this the natural way. Well, it's the only way. And the natural way is the way of chemistry and physics. Allopathic has separated themselves from nature. How can you separate yourself from the organics of how chemistry works, atoms work? How can you separate yourself? And that's kind of the indication allopathy is trying to give the world, is that, oh, those nature people are nuts. Nuts? We're the chemists and the physicists. We're the ones that are looking at this from a science perspective. And I remember I showed you that in Science News, where most universities can't copy these pseudo labs and things that come up with these studies that, like, really? Even 60 Minutes did a whole show on the fallacy of double-blind studies. I watched that one. It was hilarious to see that, because it pretty much put in this double-blind study concept and who's doing them. I mean, it's just a world of so much lies and deceitfulness. And why? Money? Come on, man. You can make a good living as a naturopath. You might not be a millionaire, but then we're not that way. Remember I told you I had orientation at a hospital. I was getting ready to go into the cardiac area. And this guy I think he was from Lebanon or something. And he was looking at me, we were talking, he goes, you medical doctors. And I said, I'm not, whoa, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm a naturopath. He said, well, the medical doctors here are capitalists. And I'm going, well, can't deny that. He said, but in my country, I'll take a chicken to help somebody. And I said, yeah, I would too. And I said, I've carried people down from up top stairs on my back to go have colon therapy. I've done all kinds of things you would not believe. So I get it. So, yeah, the quality of sleep. Ooh, yeah, I bet it is, because you have to get up a lot in the night for sure. So, yeah, you know, to get the inflammatory response down, to get the hypertrophy or the swelling down, you have to go to the way of the lymphatic system. You got to understand that more than what's in the books. And I mean, we know so much more about the lymphatic system. Just our group alone have proved the reality of kidney filtration around the world. I mean, how do you deny hundreds of thousands of people getting well? You can't. And the regeneration of tissue, how do you deny that? You can't. You can make up some lie, I guess, but kind of hard because we like to shove it up their face. So you really want to go after that before you start getting tumored up there and stuff like that. All right, this is Lori, female, United States, 31, 5'5". Whoa, so we know immediately when we see the height, suspicion is there of the pituitary, no question about it. And then you're going to look at the other endocrine glands. She's 5'5", 110 pounds, MRSA. Well, hospitals. You know, I think MRSA started in the hospitals, right? I mean, that's where everybody goes that's sick, right? So, you know, with all the masks and everything, come on. It's time you realize even allopathy agrees that masks don't stop anything from coming in. Not at all. You're talking microorganisms here. Come on. And proteins, things like this. And that these masks are not designed for that sort of thing. Unless you get a gas mask or something like that. It's like, come on, man. You know, your terrain inside of your body dictates how the outside world responds on the inside. You have the call of the wild. Nature isn't stupid, obviously. Take a look at what it is. It's the planets, it's the grass, it's the animals, it's your human body, it's all these things. And to deny the Creator the unbelievableness of all these tissues and how everything's formed and how everything is thought out, I mean, there's no way humans have near a capacity to understand that, even in consciousness. So this is really important. Anyway, it's about someone else. First and foremost, thank you, Dr. Morse, for changing my life and the life. Oh, thank you. I love you for that. Thanks, honey. Happy to do it. Happy to be here. You know, we're all from the same source. Why wouldn't we all? You know, there's a certain point that you grow spiritually, and then pretty much you realize why you were either here or what you can do next, because it's up to you. Truly is up to you. There's that free will thing. Believe it or not, at a certain level of awakeness, you know, what are you going to do? You've got your sukkah, right? So it's help others get theirs, right? Because at a certain level, the ego is not there as much. Yeah, I'm grateful. Thank you, sweetie. I am so grateful for so much in my life. Good woman. Good woman. Thank you for that. I am a yoga teacher, a recovered alcoholic, an herbalist. Yeah. Good woman here. And have been vegan for 8 years. Now we can become a fruitarian for 8 more years. That's rough. You know, when you're talking about, because you're a yoga teacher, and then not only we're talking about movement, but you're also talking about consciousness. And so to take a step in a greater expanded level, the fruit is really good at doing that for you. Working on raw and fruits mostly. Yeah, and I get it. You know, me the same way. I got my, oh man, forgive me, but, oh my God. Fresh squeezed sweet navel orange juice. Between that and mangoes, I've been fasting for the last couple of months. Oh, wow, you are a huge part of my healing journey. I am awakening. And you know what? It's as simple as fruits, diet-wise. It's as simple as stop thinking. It's that simple. Stop thinking. When you're at that level, when you can stop the mind from thoughts and now you're in charge, that's consciousness. Now, consciousness has no beginning, no ending. Consciousness doesn't have, limitations. And in these worlds to survive in creation, there are these. You have these. What I used to call them, these points of identification. You have to have some way of survival. I think I told you at certain points of awareness, you don't know where you are. You're not dealing in structures. You're not dealing in duality. And that can be scary for some of those that need to have, some degree of structure. Because we tend to let go of those, as we're growing, we let go of those things that are binding us. We let go of the chains of thought, the chains of emotions and things like this. And when we do, though, we can't replace them with other chains, right? So when you're you're trying to let go of emotional weaknesses and things like this, that's a problematic because your focus is on those weaknesses. So you have to let it all go. You have to step back and become detached from everything. Buddha didn't sit under that tree for all those years to just wake up and go, oh, well, what now can I think about? Freedom from the things that bind us. Well, thought binds you, emotions bind you, because those are the other bodies that you're using. They like to express themselves too. Your emotions love to express themselves. right? Whether good, bad, or indifferent. Some people get off on the negative, oh yeah. Others get off on the high. But it's duality in emotions. It's duality in thought. The good, the bad, and the whatever, right? But you want above that. Consciousness is above duality. But there's a balance to that as well, living totally in the now, whoo-wee, that's rough. I keep working, and I can maintain pretty good. And it's just, becoming the observer. But every once in a while, like when I'm working on the books and everything, I got to use my mind. I got to use stored memories. I'm going over research and things like this. And then I need to also have the awareness beyond that. Because how do you see those things that have not been discovered yet here? How do you see those things of truth that are blocked by limitations or conditioned thinking? Because all thoughts are conditioned thinking. If you think about it, everything is a conditioned state in these worlds. But that's how you navigate, kinda. You kind of let go of some that bind you too much, and then you take on new ones, and it's a new exciting world. But for those that are seriously minded about awakening, that is a total awareness syndrome, without thought and without emotions. And it's not something you can read about. You can use J. Krishnamurti's teachings and stuff, but he's pretty much saying, hey, be the observer. Don't use thought as your navigator. Use the mind as your points of identification so you have some structure to live by, like driving the car down the road you need to go down to get to your house. Because I'm telling you, when you live in the now, everything is new. I drive down the highway sometimes and I don't even know where I'm at. I'm going, where am I going? Where am I at? Because you're so intensely in the now. So some of that you got to have a balance too. I have so many questions. I can't wait and hope to take your classes. Now, I love my classes. I try to infuse spirituality in them. I can't help it. That's who I am. You can't help but learn from more of an expanded view. I'm like the ones that like to tear down conditioned thoughts. The old Zen techniques, right? I think it would be interesting if you explained your thoughts on MRSA. It is said MRSA can be reoccurring. It is said MRSA can be deadly. Well, it's like any other infection. It's simply related to your lymphatic system. It's just another level. Mutation. Everything mutates. Either gets stronger or weaker, blah, 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 blah. But it's still the same avenue. It's still your inner terrain that dictates the MRSA issue. The hospitals are loaded with it. It's like, come on, man. You've got to use detoxification because that's your only route to clean your inner terrain. But detoxification is true hydration. And it is moving on the lymphatic system. Well, if you don't understand the lymphatic system, you've got a disease. And you've got a serious bacterial infection. And you've got all this is going to kill you. Well, any viral load can kill you if you don't know how to deal with it. If you're a heavy milk drinker, you're in a nursing home, you're having your daily ice cream and milk and all this, and you have a sedentary life, and you're so congested, well, yeah, because as your body opens up to detoxify, and this is why for those lungers that have extreme COPD or emphysema, I suggest a slower move toward detoxification because you're going to break up. And the problem is you try to hydrate too fast, too much systemically, yeah, you can choke to death. And especially if you're a quad and paraplegic, especially a quadriplegic, you got to be careful and have a suction machine and everything there just in case. Especially if you've been on dairy and cheese and all this other stuff, because you're going to break up and you don't have the strength and power to cough it up. Past videos have told you cases that are that I've had that we've had to save them by going out ourselves and renting suction machines and helping them survive this because it gets scary. When you're trapped in a body and you don't know how to get out of it, out of body, and you're trapped in that and your breathing is an issue, especially quads. You know, you got to be careful. And that's why being smart as a healer is very, very important. You know, sitting back and listening to these videos and learning about edema, learning about all these things and how to be careful as you go down that road. I think 2 videos ago we went over this case where the lady had, she had hypertrophy of the right atrial, but she already had congestive heart failure, meaning already swelling of the heart. She'd already had strokes. She already had syncope. She already had Brady-Tachy syndromes, heart pauses. I mean, you know, you're at the end of the chain here, you know. You've got to work yourself back out of this. Or, you know, and allopathy does not understand how you do that. Matter of fact, they don't understand what causes it. So this is some of the problems, and yet the simplicity of understanding the causes. Sometimes, even if you're an intellectual, you have to pull back a little bit and get out of your mind. You know, your mind is what suffocates you, what enhances your narcissism, your ego. You know, even though a separate body, it can get accentuated pretty bad, as you've seen. You know, there's some real narcissists out there, and the world order people are extreme narcissists. Look at what was his name? I try not to remember these things. John Kerry and the other guy saying to the environmentalists that we're the chosen ones, we're the few that are here to save the planet. It's like, what? They were lost in their own narcissistic thoughts. And this is part of the problems. You know, you have to be really careful because now you can hurt and affect others. And of course, now they want 3/4 of the planet dead. There's too many humans on it. I have heard that once it gets into the bloodstream, then it can cause reoccurring infections and skin abscesses. No, honey. The blood always dumps. The problem is, where's the dumping ground? Go to the interstitial fluid. What do you see? Oh, blood interfacing with lymph. One is blood, one is water, one is lipid. That's why you only see minimal interfacing. Pop a pimple, a really juicy whitehead, and you'll see a little bit of that interstitial fluid. You will see a little blood, and you'll see the rest is lymph. It's just what it is all over the body. Same stuff. You know, why would it be a glomeruli? Why would you pop out here in a pimple like that? What's not moving correctly? And it's not the blood problem. It's a lymphatic problem that can make a blood problem out of it. That's why we clean the body. We go after the spleen. We go after the liver. But again, these are just tissues that are more the spleen than the liver is just a chemical factory. You know, man got fixated on liver flushes and liver detoxes and stuff like that. But what are you detoxing? Right? It goes back to what are you doing with the thoughts of detoxification and things like this. And if you do not understand how the body works in the lymphatic system, that's what our class is all about, is giving you a very simplistic view from consciousness right down into the physical body and then into the atoms and how that all works. And it's really not difficult to understand those things, really, when it's taught to you simplistically. You know, I like to take the complex, if I can understand it, and make it as simple as I can for you guys, because you get nowhere talking above others. You get nowhere being, I know more than you type of thing. Really? So, no. If you fear that, then you can use the blood formula that we have. But in reality, when you start going on the fruits, there's no better cleanser of the human body than fruits. Grapes in particular, just because there are dynamics, their chemistry, their flavonoids, their balance, in my opinion, between water and structure, that sort of thing. And so I just think they're pretty much on the top of the heap in terms of going after the body and having a balanced chemistry doing that for what a Homo sapien needs. Remember, these nutritionists and all these people are half nuts. They're into all these mineral supplementation. Really, God dang, you know, no understanding of how the endocrinology has to be working to be able to utilize this stuff and how a lot of this stuff can become free radicals in your body. You know, what is nutrition at one level can be a free radical at another. Calcium is a great example of that. So you never fear it, you just detoxify it out. It's like, and it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what viral load you got. It doesn't matter. There's only one way. The body doesn't like to hold on to things. That's a misnomer. However, you do have, especially neurotoxins, they love to attach themselves, no question. But the body will shed itself of them. We prove that over and over and over again. Your body will get rid of the unwanted, given an avenue to get rid of it. To think that the body recirculates all these toxin stuff is like cuckoo. So there's avenues of elimination, and your kidneys and your skin are your main ones. Or that, or you're gonna, out the skin somewhere, or out the mouth, out the nose, out the ears, any hole, belly button, any hole will do. Nipples, anything like that, the body will try to excrete the unwanted. Well, opening up the proper channels of elimination is far better, So he's helped me understand better this terrible flesh-eating disease. You know what? Go back to some simple understanding. The strong survive, the weak are consumed. We're losing our cellular genetic strengths out of our cells. You see some people with really strong eyes. There's this female athlete, and she's fighting the transgender issue about moving transgenders into the female side. And so when you look at her eyes, it's like, I haven't seen such a strong constitution in someone in a long time at that early age. She's a young woman, and it's like, whoa. It's amazing. But as a rule, the younger you are, the more genetic weaknesses you have. And this is why you see what you see, and then, of course, the more lymphatic problems we're having. And then we're in serious trouble. The young people are in serious trouble. That's why I'm the friend of all the young people, the babies, the children, because you guys are in trouble, and I'm here to help the mamas and dads to see that and to help pull their kids out before they go through the medical chain of nightmare crap. The St. Jude syndrome, I call it. I am pretty over being reincarnated into human. Yeah. But, your reincarnation has led you to this point. Now you're becoming a warrior woman. And now you might see just why you've been reincarnated, to get to this point of understanding so you can be the warrior to help others to wake up here. And then your journey, you have to see where your journey is. But this is the whole thing of it. Yeah. For those older beings here, the fatigue of reincarnation is like, so that's the only way to get out of that is to get into the now. Using your mind only creates more, right? For every action, there's an opposite reaction. Well, thought is an action. But you got to be able to do that from a detached point of view and realize, burn this other stuff up. That's why the masters are here, to help you burn up some of your karma faster. That's why some of your lucid dreams can get pretty wild. And you can start seeing things, going through things on the inner. Sometimes it's better to get rid of them on the inner world than to always have it physically manifesting. Oh. Mm-hmm. I know it is the lymph we are dealing with. You have opened my eyes so much on this, so please help me understand better this. All right, I am pretty over being reincarnated for him. Oh boy, I'm telling you, so many older beings are, So get to that point, you, especially to these lower realms. Oh Lord, it's like claustrophobia for me. It's hard sometimes if I'm not careful, I can't breathe. These worlds are so organic, so material, so formed. I love that. I love you already, honey. This is pretty cool. So I'm awakening, ascending, and transcending. I'm sorry your tube is not. Again, this is just part of the corruption of what's going on. And the sad thing, these poor people that own and control these YouTubes and things, they're putting themselves into these areas of power and control, and they don't realize what affects us affects them. This is what affects one affects us all, like it or not. And it's just sad stuff. I know. It's just unawareness. And there's a point that I get it, especially you older souls. The unawareness is what's stuffy. You know, you can't even have a decent conversation with people. We turned to sender big time on that one. May the powers that be. Ah, thank you. Love you so much. Love you, dear one. Thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. Sweetheart. Aaron from Ireland, 38. Bowel cancer spreading to liver and now the lung. Okay, so remember, spreading isn't a good word. You're lymphatically compromised head to toe. When you become agglomerated and you see, let's say, the swelling of the prostate, it ain't just the prostate. At a minor degree, you're swollen on all the whole side of the body. Where you're genetically the weaker is where you see the most problems. And even Jensen knew that, and I thought that was pretty good of him because they didn't understand the lymph system back then, but he knew enough about it, in these genetically weakened areas where the lymph flow, and he even mentioned to me the lymph flow and blood flow was compromised. So, but he was a very spiritual sort. He was a lot more aware than people realize spiritually. Pretty aware dude. That's why we were so much friends. Yeah, we were iridologists and stuff like that, and he knew I was pretty good at what I did, and stuff. And of course, he was really good at what he did. So we were good iridologists together, but we were buddies spiritually. It was automatic when we met. We just like, whoa, hey, friend. Mm-hmm. So, firstly, Dr. I'd like to thank you for several years ago. I thankfully stumbled across your page whilst I was suffering with a list of symptoms that no blood test or multiple MRI scans by medical doctors could determine. And that's the thing. Come on. It is so simple that a lot of times you don't need to go through those. But then, sometimes I'm one of those. I'm a little chemistry geek, little science geek sometimes. I just want to look. But I look to tie things together. See how this relates to this, relates to this. I like to do that. It's just because everything relates. And you start to see the blood work relating to the tissues involved or not. And it can be a small variance. A good example is your creatinine. 0.5 is as high as you want to be, but 0.6 or 0.7, that's nothing to them. Now they're 1. I was looking at blood work a couple of days ago. It was 1.35 was a lab's norm, high end. It's like, holy crap. Now if you get 1.3, your kidneys are getting into serious trouble. Serious trouble. But no, it's okay lab-wise. Like, no. So these are some of the things that even a small variance can mean a lot. And I looked at that, liver enzymes. When you start moving toward up to 20, what's going on in the liver or alkaline phosphatase? I'm going to be looking at those things, Just a little look-see. Same with your pituitary, TSHs and things like this. I'm just going to be looking, just a playground. You got to do something while you're here. I followed a high-fruit diet. I juiced on several herbal formulas and got myself well again within a number of months. Yeah! Go, Aaron! This is a hell of a man right here, guys. Girls, they're only 38. So thank you. I turn to you now for help. My cousin Stephen is 38 years young as well. Diagnosed with bowel cancer early 23. He went through chemotherapy. See, that's where you put the icing on the cake. Unfortunately, that's where you put the icing on the cake. When you start bringing in the very chemistry that's destroying your body, but even hotter still. And it's funny, that's what's become out there. And people just walk up like cattle to slaughter. And that's very unconscious. So very dangerous practice. For those of you that go, well, let me look at that. Those are your higher beings. Those are the ones that have a little more awareness to them. Most humans right now are just like, like I say, cattle led to slaughter. We have to somehow try, even though you can't because everybody's on their own journey and you can't judge that. I don't judge that, because there's a time I was there, and everyone was there going through this awakening process, but also you're on a journey here. You don't get no special treatment. The divines kick my butt so many times because I'm a little hardhead sometimes. It's like, oh, okay. After a while, you kind of quit being a hardhead because there's nothing worse than getting your butt kicked by the divine freak. Oh. But it's been unsuccessful. Why would it be successful? Chemotherapy destroys tissue. Why would it ever be successful except to burn out an area, just to see a few years later explode everywhere else because you've destroyed cells everywhere else? I mean, the insanity of this whole thing is unbelievable, in my opinion. And it has now spread. See, it's not spreading, it's your lymph system that's agglomerated. And the lymph system literally touches in some way or another every cell you got. So when it's backed up from the source of elimination, your kidneys, it's backed up through the lymph, to the septic tanks, the sewer pipes, and then to the cells. And that's where you start having serious problems. You start changing the cytoplasm pHs, and you start then affecting the organelles and the DNA and RNA strands. This is when everything starts to mutate or change its permeability or its adaptability or whatever you want to call all of these. It starts interfering with the processes that are releasing energy to cells. And then you start to see everything else become in its own way agglomerated, proteins sticking to cells, all these things, and then they interpret it as something else. You have to stop interpreting or trying to think you're kind of label physiology at levels you don't understand. Because if you don't understand the pillars of what I'm saying, a bunch of cells and two fluids, and what cells discharge, and you're lost in this alkalotic thinking, you're not going to be a healer. You're not going to be good at what you do. You're going to be part of the killing machine, even though there's help in that, but it's at the very limited areas that we've talked about, surgeries and ERs. But you have to be real careful. When you're treating the world of diseases and you see things in that order, every ER should have a colon therapist, a chiropractor. Oh, yeah. You're going to get your butt cleaned out when you first come in. Are you pooping? What do you have a fever for? Oh, we got to break that fever. You can't have a fever. You can go into a seizure. Oh, my God. Lost in that channel of thinking. True, if you're running up in some extreme fevers and you're not hydrating, you're eating proteins and stuff, well, yeah, you keep hurting yourself and you keep creating the very scenario that you're experiencing. Oh, but it can't be what you're eating. It can't be what you're drinking. Can't be your lifestyle. No, these are diseases. So the fallacy of this understanding you have to understand is great. That's why our whole new series is called The Illusion Called Diseases. It's an illusionary concept going back to the 17th and 18th century. Whew. I got a call coming in here in a few, so I got to be careful about that. The medical doctors have told him them is nothing more they do, and all he has now has time, maybe months. That makes you just sick, because they were right. They destroyed his body as much as they can. So I need your help and words to hopefully inspire him to try and save his life if it is possible. Kind regards, Aaron. Stephen, holy crap, son. You started walking down the wrong road. You started walking down the road to Hellville when you decided to go allopathically. And your good friend Aaron here has been there trying to help you. My world, you're going to need to go on an automatically dark grape diet. I'd go immediately on that, and I would get our detox kits that deal with deworming yourselves, getting your GI tract cleaned and opened up, getting your kidneys to filter is your key essential need, and bringing in all this alkaline chemistry because you've been saturated with a very low acid that is lower than the acid that caused the cell damage in the first place. You're down a chemistry that's 500 to 1,000,000 times hotter than your blood. If you can comprehend that level of thinking. pH factors are serious factors, and each pH has a serious ramification on tissues. And the more acidic you pull, the more damage and the more cationic environments you create, especially on high protein diets where you start to inflame the kidneys and you start to lose kidney filtration. And you start to and then you agglomerate the body with all these dairy products and all the mucus forming foods like that. Your body becomes full of mucus, swelling, all these things like this. And then when you detox, what do you see? Mucus in your stools, mucus coming out of your nose, coughing up mucus out of your lungs, mucus in your urine. Where's all this coming from? The mucosa. Well, what could make the mucosa? Chemotherapy would make extreme amount of mucus in the body. Your body to fight chemo. So if you really want to be successful, you want to go after this and you want to use an herbal program to do it. I'd use our detox kit has herbs for the liver. You have herbs for all of this. Dr. Morse's Cellular Botanicals. Go to what is it, drmorse.com or whatever, and look them up and, get your butt on them. I'm saying this, or whatever you can afford, teas, whatever, but you've got to open up your doors of kidney filtration. Key essential. Or how do you get well? You're trapped. Your body's already locked in acidically, and then to put 1.5 to 2 pH in it further, that's hydrochloric acid. Pour hydrochloric acid on your hand and see what you think. Or if you really want to get brave, throw some on your face. Better close your eyes. I'm telling you, it is a sick practice, and you fell into it, Stephen. And you really want to get your butt awake and aware. Aaron's got the answers for you. Look, he cured a lot of his own stuff. And check our YouTube's, not our YouTube anymore. Oh well. We have our own platforms, and we're on them, basically all the other ones. And then we have GreatGate. We have a lot of Facebook sites. We got tons of grads from our schools. The reason of that school is not only just to bring your awareness, but help you to help others. And it's not difficult. It's easy. It's like Aaron. Once he's helped himself, now he knows how to help others. So you just have to have the ability to listen, Steve, or go ahead and die. You'll get another body right off. And like this one sweet lady, I'm tired of reincarnating. I'm going to have to go here in a few. But I want to try to get these caught up because what's this one? Fruit market. Oh, I like this one already. I have to read this one. Look at that. Fruit mart. Can't wait to read that one. All right, so here's basal, a male. United States, 50 years, 6 foot 2 inches, same problem, pituitary, a benign, paroxysmal positional vertigo, also known as peripheral vertigo. Okay, so again, you already had it up here to have pituitary issues, and you also have a transverse colon. You've got to clean up here, but you've got to drain the brain, so to speak. You've got to get your lymphatic system shuffling through your kidneys, because right here in the cerebellum, the mastoid, all of these areas are involved here. And it's just like everyone going to the frontal lobe and dementia. All these things are just coming from the same source. Remember, these aren't diseases. You're not inflicted by anything. You're creating this. And now you've got to look at the lymphatic system and what this means. And as you get swelling in all the cerebellum and the mastoid and all these areas, you're going to get vertigo. You're going to get these problems. And then you're going to deteriorate the upper C-spine. And then you can get trigeminal neuralgia. You can get all these painful, horrible things. With that in mind, you might want to go to a good chiropractor and make sure you do have the C-spine and all your spine in order. At the same time, you want to use neurolymphatic points down your spine. Open this up. Get your kidneys to filter. This is key essential, or there's no way to get out of it. You can use hot and cold compresses and things like this, but this is an internal problem, and it's lymphatic. This isn't blood. You could use blood circulation formula or circulation formula to help. I would also use brain and nerve and add that to a kit, but I'd get on always deworm yourself. That's the first kit. And I say that to everyone around the world. Deworm yourself. Get the fungus out as much as you can. That sort of thing. Bacterium's going to leave as the body cleans itself out. Again, you're creating the terrain for what you see. That's what nature is. Nature has everything for everything. You get in trouble, they bring in the troops. Just like if you shoot an animal, you got flies before you can walk over to it. Nature takes care of its own. But humans haven't learned that, so they're looking at nature as maybe nature's hurting me, I got to go somewhere out. No. Cause and effect. Pure physics. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. So what you create, you get back. And you just have to see how nature responds to these environments of a cationic environment, a highly acidic environment. And you're seeing that. How do I help my uncle with this issue? And he probably has, if your uncle, my guess he has cholesterol problems, cataracts, things like that. He might even have a little glaucoma, pressure building up in the head area, things like this, all coming from the same problem. This is all kidney failure, and the failure of the kidneys to filter lymphatically, and on top are the sweetheart adrenals. So you have to add those two in the matrix here. He recently was diagnosed with peripheral vertigo and is feeling constant dizzy caused by teeny little crystals being released into his ears, which causes extreme vertigo. Not only do you get buildup of these crystals, you get buildup of cholesterol. So look at his eyes and see if you see that white cholesterol ring around the outside of it. But in this case, you would want to definitely keep him on circulation. I'd use brain and nerve because it is a strong factor of neurons. But at the same time, I'm going after the lymphatic system. This isn't a blood problem, but it will help you to bring alkaline chemistry more aggressively up in these areas, no question. Same with some of the brain and nerve herbs. Excellent for that. But I'd be going aggressively after the kidneys. Even though you're talking here, you're down here is the problem. And you're opening up those matrices, you get the kidneys filtering, this will come out. Again, a few helps is hot and cold compresses, working on the neurolymphatic points, going to chiropractor, making sure this C-spine, the whole spine is in shape. Even though you're always going to get this, as long as you have one kidney that's not filtering over another. That's the way it is there. I have studied your practices for a while, and I'm looking to be a teacher at your university. Yeah, baby. In the near future, after I finish my studies in your classes, that I also plan to do soon as my grants get approved. Well, you know what? Our schools are not expensive, and they never will be. There's no failing in our schools. We were talking about this the other day. We don't fail anybody. We make sure you know what you're talking about. Why would we live in that pass-fail syndrome stupidity? You come to our school, you're telling me you want to know this information, and we're going to make sure you know it. If you don't pass a certain section in the test, we're going to call you up and say you need to restudy this and understand this more. So that's so important that that we try to do that. Although most of our students do pretty good passing, that's for dang sure. Some of the 12-year-olds and 10-year-olds are friggin' almost making 100 on these things. It's amazing to see that. I'm finding it hard to identify the issue with my uncle because the issue is coming from such a weird place. No. Not really coming from his ears. That's another victim. It's just another victim. And his own internal cells are victims of the blood and lymph flow. You don't get blood to a cell, and if you don't get lymph detoxifying the waste from cells, you're going to set up an acidotic environment. And then that's when you see the swelling. That's when you see the breakdown of function. That's when you see the impairment of the autonomic. And of course, then you start to see muscular pulls and everything else, and then you can affect a lot that way. But if you look at a lot of irises that we looked at, you'll see lacunas deep into the cerebellum in people now, ear, mastoid. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this message reaches you ASAP, because my aunt has been taking him to the pharmaceutical dealers. I mean doctors. I know, this is true though. You're right on with that. I'm sorry. Medication after medication. See, and that's the problem. And then you have the side effects from those medications. Then they treat you for the side effects of those medications. And pretty soon, you're dead, basically. I've seen this over and over and over in hospitals. It's not even funny. I've got stories miles long about that. Medication after medication, increasing the dosage over time, just to worsen toxicity. Exactly. Hello. Thanks for all you have done for the... Oh, thank you. I love you too, bro. Love you, Basil. Take care of yourself and your uncle. I'm going to have to take a short break because I'm expecting a call here. But I'll be back. Moving to Florida, huh? I like that idea. No, that's not Arnold. That's Sylvester. Love you guys. Well, I'm back. Got to take care of that call. Well, I just noticed this. Dr. Morse's Indian root pills back in 1909. Oh, look at that. We've been around a while. Oh, reincarnation. Maybe not. Oh, the thought of that. This is from Joanne from Australia. They're down at 51. She has a hiatal hernia. I had a small one, and I'll tell you how I got it. This is several years after I come out of the woods. I was building houses and flipping houses for a living, just to make some money. You're going to laugh at this one. Got into Mountain Dew. It's fruit, right? It's so hot down here, and building houses, and then I'm a carpenter, so everything I did then was by hand. We didn't have guns. And so hot, I was chugging Mountain Dew. Suddenly, I get this lump in my throat. I go, man, it just didn't want to go away. And I just passed it on carrot juice, and the lump didn't want to go away. And went to the emergency room, had to take a look. Do you see anything? And no, we don't see anything. I'm going, oh, it's right there. I just feel like it might close off my ability to breathe or something. And as time went on, I felt it drop down my esophagus, and then became a hiatal hernia. In other words, you have to look at what's going on interstitially. Why the mucus? What irritation? What chemistry are you dealing with? So to get rid of this, you truly got to get into a detoxification process, and you might even hawk it coming back up on you. With that said, though, I did carrot juice after carrot, and Jensen was doing carrot juice too. We were all doing carrot juice. That's why I've learned through the years there's a huge difference between vegetables and vegetable fasting, juicing and things like this, and the fruits, night and friggin' day. That's why I can teach these things, right? So very important to look at that. The other thing I would look at is one other, and what might that be? Connective tissue. All right, so that's a herniation. And so you want to look at connective tissue in your parathyroids in the throat anyway. So you want to look at that and see if you have a parathyroid weakness. How's your fingernails? How's your skin? How tight are you? All these things like that will help to determine whether you have. And then the eyes, depression, petechia, bruising easy, hemorrhoids, varicose spider, all these things are indications of parathyroid weakness. And thyroid, throw them both in there, I don't care. But very important to work on these as well. But you've got to move the lymph. You've got to get in and hydrate the lymph. And again, you might be spitting up some stuff. But again, She says also that she has reflux and regurgitated foods. Yeah. So the stomach tea can be very helpful to that. You want to super chew in the mouth and digest predominantly in the mouth and swallow, already digested foods. Proteins are a huge no-no. Anything that irritates the mucosa. And you can see certain foods, you feel like your hiatal hernia is worse, and other foods you kind of hardly feel it. And you're going to feel it the most when you get into your proteins and you get into your mucus-forming foods, especially your dairy products and stuff. It's going to feel even enlarged more. And that, again, going down that route to open that up. And thanks for the pick. 1909. That's pretty good. Maybe the botanicals have been in the Morse family for a long, long time. Probably not even related. But you never know. It's like that one pic with Morse walking down the street with Morgan Chase, all these people like that. Oh, world order people. Holy crap. This is from Patty. She's in the United States, 65 years young, but she's only 5'2". My guess she's not menstruating at 65. She probably stopped in her 50s, who knows. But 5'2", she only weighs 100 pounds. But that's pituitary. Well, look at this. Chronic Lyme, joint, hand pain, very paralyzed left hand, dry mouth, shoulder, knee. So what side of chemistry dries you out and what side of chemistry hydrates you? And there's only two. So the alkaline side of chemistry, what we refer to as base. And there's a reason, but alkaline chemistry means it has an anionic environment, it has a higher electron field around the proton field. So it's either that, hydrating, dehydrating side of chemistry. That's not the alkaline side of chemistry. The dehydrating side of chemistry is by far the acidic side. Then you start seeing the draw and removal of calcium and out of the tissues and bones. You start having cracking and all kinds of problems with that way. All the ones we just talked about with calcium utilization, or the loss of calcium out of your body. Lyme's, lupus, fibromyalgia, just lump all those babies in the same pot. Systemic acidosis, systemic, head to toe. And in most cases, Lyme and fibromyalgia always have sulfur involvement. So when you also have sulfur involvement, you also, in my opinion, have heavy fungal involvements, which leaves uric acid crystals as part of their little, movement and activity. So the same thing applies. You've got to get your kidneys going. You've got to get your adrenals up where you have your anti-inflammatory steroids, of course, to help you. All these things are part and parcel to eliminating this. It's election time. I get so many calls from all these campaigns. Some think I'm a Democrat, some think I'm a Republican. It's like, oh, okay. But very important to look at this. So my liver, kidney doesn't detox well. Well, you're talking about the lymphatic system. Everything else is a bunch of cells and two fluids. Bunch of cells. So the cells of the liver is no different than the cells of the kidneys, is no different than the cells of the heart, except each one is their own individual specialized being, just like you are. You have your own specialty in the scheme of everything. And so does each cell in your body, whatever their function may be to produce to whatever. I have done Lyme tinctures, natural herbs from Dr. Lindsay in Bloomer, Wisconsin. Okay. Have lots of pain all over my body. Unless you do get into, and I would do the grapes because I would not get into acid fruits as much. You might find that accentuates the problem. Also, I don't know where you are with edema, but this is another problem that you can suffer with, and you got to be real careful with that because systemic acidosis brings in the inflammatory process, which edema, cholesterol, and the loss of all those things fit under that sky. lots of pain all over your body, you have systemic acidosis. And the only one way to get rid of it, well, there's a couple ways. You want to get your thyroid up, start sweating. You want to get your kidneys filtering. Outside of that, you're holding your waste in. And every day your cells are kinetic. Every day you're producing waste. Where are these wastes going? You know, all of these things like that. And so they're not going anywhere. They're staying home. And that's why you're feeling pain. But on the other side, what's going on inside of you? The loss of calcium, maybe cholesterol's building up, all these other things in their body's effort to fight this. What? Went to regenerative specialist to feed cells. Okay. All right, I don't know what that means. To regenerate tissue, you have to first open up your lymphatic flow. If you don't, there's no regeneration. You're throwing chemistry in there. But sometimes throwing chemistry in there is not to your advantage. Like I said, a lot of chemistry, especially like calcium and stuff, it can cause free radicals. And now you really start to have pain or stone up. On a vegan diet, you want to move up to the frugivore diet. I'm telling you, your vegan diet, not enough. And beans, grains, any of that, you can call yourself whatever, but you want to be into the high fruit category. If you can deal with melons, okay. If you're not edemic, that sort of thing is great. Berries, if it doesn't bother you too much. But grapes, mangoes, things like that right now. Really key in opening up. You want to get on herbs for the kidneys. In other words, when you use botanicals, you want to understand why you're using them and what the focus is. You're not just taking Parasite M just to take Parasite M to knock off a few fungi. You want to focus, and that focus is always involved in kidneys and adrenals, your endocrinology, your eliminative organs, your GI tract, your kidneys, your lymphatic system itself. Those are the focus. You can pick up the liver, gallbladder, great, that's no problem. But when you focus on the lymphatic system, it cleans every one of them. Because it's the lymphatic system in every one of them that's the problem. There's no other system to blame. I don't know what else you would, if you know the body, I don't know what else you would blame. And if you're got a doctor in front of your name, you should know the body. You might not know the lymphatic system, granted, because these, like I said, these A&P books have constipation to them. They're still echoing 17th and 18th century bullcrap, or early 1900s. Where do I start? Again, my left hand is paralyzed. Well, that'll open up. That'll open up, honey. That will open up. For Lyme on finger joints, started in September 23 to get worse. Right hand hurts a lot also. So both of your kidneys are down, that sort of thing. Get red, skin bump, yeah, absolutely. Finger joint, absolutely. Arthritis, absolutely. And it's only the acid side of chemistry that's doing that. That's not an alkalotic issue. That's an acidic issue. And that issue has to be dealt with through the lymphatic system. There's no other system to deal with it. You can't have the blood deal with acids. And if you look at physiology, as we teach you, you'll find that the blood doesn't accept the proteins and things back into it as well. The capillaries go, shift you off to the lipid side, right? Interstitially. Pain goes everywhere in shoulders. Oh, yeah, I bet you. Parasites, you're probably full of fungus. I will have to say that. And you might have, look at your eyes. Again, look at your eyes and see if you see any orange in there. If you've got orange in your eyes, you've got heavy sulfur. And that is very fungal, but also very hardening, very pain-producing. I mean, these people are nuts that are taking sulfur tablets. That's crazy crap. But you always kill parasites. I recommend parasiting the body to everybody. Get rid of the worms, the flukes, and if you don't have them, great. But you also have fungus. Bacterium, they go out with a wash, and they go out with what is needed. Open up your lymph nodes. And here's another thing. A lot of people that are in these situations have been on a lot of antibiotics. And that's another problem. They've killed the bacteria in your body. Guess who likes to eat up acids? It's not macrophages. It's not monocytes. Not lymphocytes. They're about the cells. It's about bacterium. And so taking antibiotics is the worst thing you can do because then you kill the bacterium that deals with breaking down acids. So now you're left with 3 pH pain all through you. And if you deal with chemo, you're dealing with 20 times hotter than the 3. So you're dealing in so much, oh my God. So you can see these are very pain producing. To get out of that, you have to electrify. You have to bring in electrons. Well, there's only a few foods that are electron rich, and that's going to be your fruits, your berries, your melons, and your vegetables. And I'm talking about vegetables are not man's food. Yeah, they're good balancers. Okay. You have to a lot steam them sometimes, things like this. But if you're doing vegetables, get into the cucumbers and the fruit type vegetables. But then you get into the nightshade families. And you don't want to do nightshade families with pain through the body. Tomatoes will just make that pain go right on out. Right? Eggplants, stuff like that. No, you got to shift to your fruits, the true hydrators. But you want to find that middle path, and the middle path for me would be grapes and would be mangoes. Things like that, apples. Bananas may be a little less detoxifying for sure. But your hand will open up, your left hand will open up, all that will open up, but you've got to go this route. And that's why get on our herbal detox kit and go down those roads. You can use the circulation formula maybe to move blood a little more aggressively through the body, maybe help bring a little more alkalinity in there, but you want to go after your endocrinology because your adrenals have a lot of anti-inflammatory steroids. What's progesterone? Cortisols. They also act as anti-inflammatories. So those are really important too. And when your kidneys are down like this, so is your adrenal glands. And when they're all down, yeah. What do I need to start to get liver and kidney working? Thank you. She gave me her phone number. Generally, when we do these videos, Marco and them let you all know that you're on these videos, and this will help cover this. This is back in the 1st of December, though. But again, same problem. I don't care what doc you go to. If they don't understand the lymphatic system and acidosis, walk out. And that's the problem. And to understand the lymphatic system, they've got to come to us because no one else teaches it the kidney connection or anything. You guys are. And that's what's helpful. Maybe that infiltration of the world will be vital to helping some of these other docs wake up to the reality of this. You can't throw chemistry onto chemistry like that. We do throw the herbal chemistry in there, but it's with a twist. These are not heated. These are organic and wildcrafted mostly, that sort of thing. And so you really want to, that's tissue focused. But you have one big system agglomerated, and that is not blood. That is your lymphatic system, and that's what you have to learn. And there's so much videos that we put up for years. I put these up, playing that same record over and over and over again. But that's why a lot of you, look at the remedies so many of you have gotten. I mean, we've cured so many people, it's not even funny. And you guys have cured so many people, it's not even funny. And so important that. You know, I get a lot of these famous docs in to see me. And it's like, well, you in to see me if you know the answers. Okay. Let me do, where am I? Let me do one more. I'm almost at the end. Then we got another pile coming. Okay, so this individual's Andrea. No, Andrea, a male, United States. 57, 5'11", 185 pounds. Mental health issues, pituitary tumor. Signs of schizophrenia, voices in head. Oh, man. This concerns someone else in the family. Listen to this, though. My son, who is 32 years old, you know, that's why I keep telling you guys, these young people are in serious trouble. Damn. Has been suffering from over 6 years now and has seen numerous doctors. And that's the problem. This young man has been 6 years fighting this. So what was he, 26? Oh, God. He has a pituitary tumor that doesn't seem to be growing. That is a sweet, sweet sound. You got to get him on these programs. You got to get him on a fruit diet, get him especially on a grape diet, that sort of thing, down this same road. It's the same road everyone, all of us have to walk because there's no other road to walk down. All of them has dead endings to them, and most of them lead to Hellville, and the death of the individual. So his whole head area is involved. When you have a pituitary tumor, guess what? Now, the other issue with that is the sinuses and all this other stuff, but also what? The colon, the transverse colon. So that's why you see our kits designed the way they are. That's why you have a GI tract formula. Not just to poop, that's to rebuild, to clean, to enhance, those sort of things, because you need to clean the mucoid plaque off the wall, enhance the function. But most of the problems the GI tract has where? In the wall. That's called interstitial, around the cells. Well, what's around the cells? Oh, only two fluids, blood or lymph. Take your pick. One is alkaline and energetic and full of energy and hydrating, and the other one is lymph, dealing with the acid side of chemistry. You got two sides of chemistry to deal with, and to think that the blood has to deal with both sides is stupid. But it's large. So he has to drain his sinuses, and this transverse colon is a big deal to that. Also, I'd be working on the neurolymphatic points down the back. You can also use hot and cold as well, or get in the shower and use some hydrotherapy down the back and on the back of the neck. Got to open up this matrix. But guess what's blocking up here is the kidneys. They're blocking the drainage from the head. And what's in between the kidneys and the head lymphatically? Lymph nodes. And so opening this whole matrix, hydrating and opening this whole matrix up of kidney filtration and sweating is really key, essential, because all these things you see, schizophrenia, all these things like this can be a part of that because it shuts down the other glands. Your pituitary is controlling everybody. So the more that you shut it down, then there goes the thyroid. There goes depression in the parathyroid. There's depression. Then you got your hiccup on the anxieties from the adrenal glands. Then you get labeled bipolar. And then all these labels, when it's really a biological problem, not a mental health problem. It focuses into that. It affects your other bodies and how your other bodies can relate to your physical and your expression outwardly, but you destroy the brain, the mind has no way to communicate. Same thing emotionally. You destroy your adrenals, your emotions have no way, so you get anxieties because, again, there's the breathing, there's all the other neurotransmitter issues, the autonomic issues. So everything starts shutting down. And that's what you see. And this little lad is only 32 years young. I mean, this is something he's got to grab, his self-discipline, go through some of these videos and really take off down the road. His mental health issues, that includes voices in the, you can hear all kinds of crap and you can see all kinds of things, stars, moons, and all kinds of things. They constantly say he needs to be on medication, blah, 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 blah. It makes you sick, don't it? Which only makes things worse. Yep, sure it does. Because he's agglomerated. He's backed up. Why do you get any swelling in the body anywhere? Call it a cyst, a tumor, a boil, a pimple, I don't care. Why would you get something backing up if there wasn't a blockage? You don't. So there's a blockage. Well, where's the blockage? Well, lymphatically, they don't understand the kidney connection to the lymph system. Physiology hasn't caught up with that, but physiology is only about half accurate. There's so many theories rolling out there. Even cell mitosis, there's theories involved in that. That's the coupling and the division of cells. Really, the theories out there are unbelievable. Well, what's actual truth then? I don't want a friggin' theory. I want to know what the truth is, don't you? Yeah. Well, your modality, the medical modality, is a theory-driven modality. And when you have your pillars based upon 17th and 18th century concepts, I don't know where you go, right? He is fatigued. Oh, I bet he's fatigued. Yeah, because there goes the adrenals, there goes the thyroid, there goes the other endocrine glands too. All of them. And your digestion is one, your heart is another. It can be dangerous at times. Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen kids put knives up to the throat of their fathers. I've seen all kinds of things like this. And that's the sad thing. So somehow you got to strap him down and put him on a grape diet. Yeah, because it can get real dangerous. Now, this guy brings up a good point. Some of these guys in particular can get real seriously dangerous to the parents and even kill their parents. I've seen it all over the place. And so you just look at the news, and these kids are really wild out, and especially when they go on medication. Antidepressants are major problems because these guys don't know how to deal with it. They don't know what depression is. They throw it up to a mental health problem and make you think like you're a mental case, when it is a biological case. It is a physiological fixability case. We desperately want to help him and don't want him to end up living on the street. Shit. These things are hard for me after years of this, guys. Hard to take. We have younger children who are very much afraid of him. Oh, I believe it. I believe it. And they can get wild. Somehow. It's going to be hard. Strap him down. You strap him down to the bed. You know, hook a pooperino up. Put a Foley in. And feed him grapes. Other than that, you have to use an herbal program on him with that. Help with the kidneys. You can use the brain and nerve. That'll really help a lot to help him pull up a little bit. It does help immensely if you can get him to take just the brain and nerve. The endocrine glands are good, but the problem with that is that there's herbs for the pituitary and the endocrine gland formula. So you might have to give him an adrenal gland formula separately. That'll help his emotional states a little bit with that. Clean up his gut. Get him away from crap food, Cokes, Pepsis, anything like that. Holy crap. That's just taking him and going slingshotting him into the world of Hellville. These things like that. Let him listen to this video, you know, so he can understand that he's fighting the world of chemistry. He's fighting things that he can fix. If he can hang in there and grab a hold of his self-discipline and just give himself a month or two working this, get him on that herbal detox kit, get the bugs out of him and everything else, you know, he'll have a chance to come back out of that. If not, this is some of the sad reality that this guy brings up, and it makes me sick to my stomach to even think about it. Yeah, I love you all, you know, and it's like sad cases here. It's just sad, sad, sad. And these kids can get strung out, and you see it all the time. They kill their parents, siblings as well. I mean, it's just sad, sad, sad. It's getting a hold of them. The problem, if you knew in the beginning all this information and you could work it, but they don't, they go to the medical doctors, and the medical doctors string them along with antidepressants and all this other kind of stuff. And then things, as you know, just get worse and worse and worse. They don't get better. And then you go to a mental health therapist or something. What the hell do they know? I had, for several years, I had more mental health therapists come to me. I was looking at them going, you know, you're in the field you need for yourself first, aren't you? I'm in this field because I wanted to be healthy. You know, I was doing it for myself. And then I had a small clinic, and I was going to help others around the community, you know, and then it just, you know, when I really set it up, but boom, because what we do is cure people. And you have to understand how the body works a little simplistically. But I've been teaching botanicals for 52 years. I've been a naturopath for over 50 years now. Pretty cool, huh? That's exciting. And a biochemist. And I love that. I've got all kinds of degrees in there. Who cares? Degrees. One time I went and tore all my degrees up. Oh my God. I got most of them back. Not all of them. I tore them up because I said, you know what? If people doesn't take me for what my words are and who I am, then what's that degree on the wall? A lot of people have degrees on the wall. Can't cure squat, you know, and it's like, so what's that degree mean? What's that doctor mean? Nothing if you don't know what you're talking about. So it is important that the public get more involved in asking appropriate questions. And a lot of you don't know what the appropriate questions might be. So again, I'm glad you all are involved with me and helping get this world get well. Because of kids like this. God.